What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Scratch Agency podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. This episode is brought to you by Virtual Intelligence, your premier partner for client-facing and back-office virtual employees. My name is Stephen Turnbull, founder of T5 Insurance Services in Clinton, New York, and I'm joined by my co-host today, the one and only, you already know, hold your applause, Mr. Sean Fitzgerald, founder of Sound Harbor Insurance in Long Island, New York. What's up, Sean?
Dude, look at these pens. Check out these pens.
Ooh, baby, look at those.
All I know is I got to order some of my own because I'm repping the wrong brand right now.
Let me know which clients you want me to resend those pens out to when you start sharing them. They're like, what's going on today, Mr. Fitzgerald? How we doing?
Dude, we're doing good. We're starting off Monday right. Got a bunch of little fires we're putting out, but all good stuff, man. Working on growing the agency. Big Ron is taking his license exam today, so we'll see how that goes, and hopefully we can get him in the commercial lines account manager seat and take things off from there.
Hell yeah!
How about you?
Let's not use the term putting out fires today, because I had my first car fire that was a total loss over the weekend. So dealing with that, and with one of my preferred carriers, and yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Those are the things we can't control. What I can tell you we control is how we react. It was on a Saturday morning, got everything set up. I got shout out to Osama, who helped us on that call about how to deal with claims and have that conversation. I got a script set up to introduce the claim to the adjuster. And I don't know if that was why the adjuster reached out to the client so fast, but the adjuster contacted the adjuster at 8:45. I'm sorry, the adjuster contacted the client at 8:45 this morning. And if I think about it, I put the claim in over the weekend to make sure it was in, but I also sent a narrative to the adjuster, introducing the adjuster to the client with photos attached of the car fire, explaining the situation and all of that. So shout out to Osama, because that probably helped a little bit with the speed of getting things straightened away. And they, of course, have a completely totaled car. And so they're probably thinking about it every minute on the minute at this point. So that fast response from the company was appreciated. And I'm sure me doing that and following that process, he talked to us about in prior episodes, helped with that. So all good.
Can I ask you a question on that? I got to ask you a question on that real quick. When you file a claim, they give you the name of the adjuster and the email right away, and then you're sending like an email template. I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
I'm trying to look up. I will do it by the time we end recording this. I'm trying to look up Osama's episode because I want to reference it because it was very powerful for me. So I'm going to just give a little white space here while I try to look that up, because it was really good. And if you don't know Osama, he was a adjuster before he became a Scratch Agency owner. And when he was on the podcast, he talked about that. 201 subscribers, baby. Look at that. We made it. All right, let's see. It's recording here. It was episode 78 from Claims to Scratch with Osama. So make sure to check that out. Episode 78, really good. But yeah, I've just taken his playbook, a little bit what we're going to talk about today. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. Took his playbook and it just do as soon as I get the information. Sometimes the carriers don't immediately assign it, so if it doesn't, you're not able to do that. But if it does assign it, I just say, hey, adjuster to client, we'd like to introduce you so that everything is good to go, communications flowing. Here's the client's best contact information. Here's a little bit of what happened. Everything's in the system, and we're here to help if we can help navigate anything. So it's been good response as far as like haven't had any issues with like, hey, haven't heard from the adjuster or whatever. So
I would imagine too. I would imagine too with that. I know you didn't want to spend a lot of time on this, sorry, but now I'm excited. I would imagine too with that, it's kind of like when you send a submission to an underwriter, to get a quote. If you send a full submission every time, like underwriters have a list of, I like when Sean sends his stuff because everything's there, the loss runs are there, the sub apps are completed. Yeah. We don't have to go back and forth 100 times. Yeah. And for an adjuster, I would venture to say less than 5% of agents are doing that, sending an introduction email with the best contact info. This way now the adjuster doesn't have to reach out to you for the best contact info, and it just makes the process a lot smoother. So
and part of the template that he gave me that I was using says in there, like to the client in the email, like X name adjuster is very good at what they do, and they're going to help us work on this process together. So immediately it's creating a calming sense that like, this is the agency, this is your company, we're working on this together, we're bringing you into the fold, and we're here together, and we're on top of it, instead of just, hey, here's your claim number, let us know if they don't reach out to you, whatever. It kind of is more of a warming feeling on, let's face it, like that's terrible. This guy went in for coffee and came out and his car was fully engulfed in flames. No idea how it happened, whatever. We'll get into that. But even a small claim, a windshield claim, whatever, it could be a terrible time for somebody who's never gone through it. We deal with these things every day, so it's just a reminder of that. But
yeah, great.
We should have him back on maybe at some point. We can dive a little bit into that because we talked a lot about his story. Go make sure to check out that episode 78. What were we going to talk about today, Sean? I'm completely thrown off now.
Sorry. Today we want to talk about gifting, which was a presentation that Stephen gave at our mastermind. He talked about gifting clients. He talked about community involvement and all that stuff. But I think the gifting part specifically is something we haven't really touched on. So when it comes to send out cards and that type of stuff, I mean, Stephen, personally, like I've seen on your Facebook, like you've shared, somebody shares a card you sent them with like their kid on the card and they're all excited. And to get a raving fan like that is pretty rare. So just to hear how you touched on that stuff would be really cool if you could go through that.
Listen to your terminology. It's like you listen to the presentation. The first thing I'm going to start with is many people know our man Jeremy Powers, and I owe everything to Jeremy Powers for introducing me to send out cards. Because he is the one who said, I think this really aligns with your agency and you should try it. And we have taken that ball and we've just completely sprinted with it. It works really well for us. And with that being said, thank you very much, Jeremy. I'm just going to go through what works well for us and how we utilize it. Furthermore, there's no tie to send out cards or whatever. We just have utilized them because Jeremy used them and said we should take a look at them. And I know there's several different softwares out there. Send out cards is just one that's worked well for us. There's your disclaimers. So the biggest thing that we talked about at the mastermind was gifting for clients, and through gifting is one of our core values of making an impact. But I think the thing that everybody has to remember when gifting is the objective is to spark an emotion. How can you spark an emotion in your clients, whether it's the way that you're sending them a thank you card, whether it's the way that you're sending them a card about a claim, whether it's the way it's a happy birthday message, whatever you decide to do. And the suggestion is to pick one thing that works and do that one thing and then do the next thing. At this point, I think just looking at my notes here, we're sending probably close to, I would say, at least 10-ish different types of cards to clients and prospects. But start with one and figure out how you can master that and go from there. But the biggest thing is sparking that emotion and aligning that with this surprise and delight factor. So how can you spark an emotion to somebody that would not expect it from their insurance company? That's not a bill. Right. So whether it be the thank you card, congrats on your new home, whatever it is. Did you have something to say?
To touch on that too. I had if you haven't read the book Giftology, it's a really good one. And in there they talk about like gifting knives and on the knife, don't gift it to somebody and put, T5 insurance on it. Put something on there that that they can relate to, right? So I think that's a really good thing to touch on too, because I've gifted a couple of these knives before and the feedback is phenomenal. They've like texted me a picture holding the knife with their wife and all excited because it's got their family name on it. So the more personalized you can get, which I'm sure you're going to go into in a minute. So I'll shut up and stop stealing your thunder. Sorry.
No. That's a great point because I think we get into a lot of I think there's a balance with it. I'll agree that there's a balance with it about I think there's actually, speaking about the community, there was a conversation about community swag. And I think there's a balance with that. A lot of people, that book specifically says nobody gives a crap your logo on something. They'd rather have a knife or something. But I think there is a balance in that. For example, I don't have one here, but we had these black rope hats that were made with our logo on it. And people loved them. People were asking me all the time, yo, let me get one of those. And I don't know if that's because of the community side that we play in it a lot, but people were specifically asking for them. And it had our logo on it. And it's one thing the book says not to do, but it seemed to work for us. So I think you find a balance in that. And there was people in the Telegram that were saying, well, it works or it does work or whatever. Find what, you think may work for you. But going back to the card thing. So the surprise and delight, the spark of an emotion, and you can also use it for helping with retention on current clients. And I say retention on current clients as a standpoint of it's just another touch point, right? To also prospecting. So we do things like thank you cards. We do cards for our BNI group when a BNI member gives a presentation. We do cards for chamber ribbon cuttings. We do congratulation cards on a new house that's different, that has a set of keys on it. We're all excited. It's a different message. It's a different feel.
I like that.
First time home buyer cards, there's a different message, there's a different feel. The teacher appreciation program has a card. We do cards for thank you for Google reviews. So if somebody leaves us a Google review and they're a client, it's linked to the system that it gets notified to Emmanuel, who is our send out card rock star. And he knows to send a Google review that's saying, thank you so much. It helps us. This is why we appreciate it. We also do cards thanking for the opportunity if there's a piece of business that we were trying to write and we didn't write, so we can try to stay in front of them. And then we do some cards for like we'd want to work for you. And then the biggest thing is the personalized cards. So client has a baby, client gets a job promotion, a commercial client that we take on, we put their logo on a card as the thank you card. So just something different than your standard just black and white thank you card, whatever. The biggest thing that I talked about in the mastermind is how to do this effectively with your team. And so what we've done through send out cards is we've templated everything through Canva. So we have different templates that have different covers. Like I said, the keys for a first time home buyer, whatever. And then the templated message. So I said Emmanuel on our team, who's our virtual assistant through virtual intelligence, he knows what to send and when to send it based on what the task is saying. So if it's a Google card, he knows how to do it. All he does is go and grabs the name. The templated message is basically there. And I know you have one more thing, but the last thing is on the custom thing, we have a process, a playbook. I don't know if you've ever heard of playbooks on this podcast or not, but we have a playbook about what is a custom card and what does that mean to do. Put this on the back of it, put the photo on the front of it, and wait for Steven to email the message that he wants to go on the card. From that standpoint, I'm completely out of it. And as a scratch agent, I know from time and everything that we talk about, buying your time, all that good stuff, Emmanuel handles 100% of the cards. I actually had struggled for this presentation that I put together for our mastermind. I had to like reteach myself some of the softwares because I haven't been in there in 6 months. So that's kind of the how and the why behind setting up those cards.
That's awesome, man. I got to ask you one question from a technology standpoint. Canva, what is it, like integrated with send out cards? Like they have
No, it's not integrated through send out cards, but the Canva is where you can create the card cover. And then once you get that cover into send out cards, it's saved in there so that you can, and I'm sure it's on all different things.
Gotcha.
So it's saved in there, but that way when Emmanuel goes in, he really just needs to put the copy and paste from the template. He copies and pastes the message, make sure it looks good. If we send brownies with it, there's different gifting things that you can send within send out cards. It's the other nice thing I like is you can choose to send a pack of brownies, a pack of cookies, whatever, and it comes in a nice package to the customer at their doorstep between 2 to 3 days after sending it. So it's a different emotion, it's a different feel than, sending your ID cards or sending your bill.
Okay, so it could maybe be a little overwhelming for somebody who doesn't even have like send out cards or Canva or anything set up. For the agent out there that wants to get started with this, I know you mentioned start with one. For you, what has been the most effective one that you think has helped you the most so far, or that you think has gotten a lot of people to reshare it, or what do you think should be the one?
There's no doubt about it that the ones that's been most impactful are the custom cards, because when I said to the mastermind, I said, find me a person that's going to throw away a card that you put their face on, right? So if you have a client that, like, for example, I'm looking at my presentation here, I got a client that had a promotion. They became the executive director of a local nonprofit in the area. And we took that announcement and we put it on the front of a card, and the card was completely customized to that announcement. I'm not necessarily going to throw that right out, probably less chance. And then, by the way, on the back, it says, leave us a review with our QR code. Like, there's so many different things you can do, but to boil it down, start with either the custom ones or start integrating it as a thank you card. Start with the whatever niche you do, I still do a lot of handwriting cards, and that's the only downside. I don't like that this is not handwritten, but I am a believer that the custom aspect of it outweighs the handwritten side of it. So if I can take the best reaction I got was a client's son had like a recital, and there's a photo for the Christmas recital of the little boy with his trombone in front of a Christmas tree. And I took that picture, sent it to Emmanuel. Please put this on the card. Here's the message. Furthermore, we addressed it to the kid. So think of this, a 6-year-old kid getting the card with their name on it, addressed to them, probably the first package they've ever gotten in their life, come home from school, all excited. The parents posted it on Facebook, and it got like several thousands reactions because it kept sharing. The grandparents shared it, whatever. And all it was we sent them, hey, great job with your recital. Here's 2 brownies from us. Make sure to share one with your sister. That was the message from your friends at T5 Insurance. And so And from a time standpoint, all I had to do once I got a manual trained with the process and all that was just share the photo, send the message, and go. But I would just try to be intentional with, like, if you're more community or whatever, or are friends with here's the other thing: be friends with your clients on social media. I think there's a lot of people that either go one way or the other. I'm all for it, because that's the way you're going to see these things happening in their lives, where you're able to spark the emotion, you're able to provide that surprise and delight because you see that in real time and can use that to your advantage to foster that relationship.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, listen, man, selfishly, I got to ask you one question. I'm doing my first founders lunch tomorrow, and from a send out card standpoint, what do you think would be something good to, from a card standpoint, to send out to the people who attended the lunch?
So for that type of thing, I would make sure to get a group picture and then put that group picture on the front of a card and customize the message for each one. I wouldn't walk around and awkwardly try to get a picture with each attendee. That might be a little much. But you can get a group picture of the event and then put that on the front of the card, and then customize a message to that attendee thanking you for coming, and then puts your information on the back somehow.
Dude, that's awesome. It's definitely doing that.
Because if it's another business owner or another business owner or individual, if you put the picture of little Johnny with the trombone on the card, that's going on the mantle 9 times out of 10.
900%.
And 100%. With ours, it has the T5 logo on the back. If you think of a way that somebody sets up a card, it's going to have the picture of little Johnny with the trombone and the T5 logo on the back. It doesn't hurt. And if it's the person you're sending it to, maybe in their office, they have a section for all their cards they've gotten. It's not something where, oh, that was a nice thank you card very much, they're going to throw it in the trash.
Yeah, and I could tell you from somebody who has 2 little kids, I've never gotten mail written out to their name. And if they did, my wife and I would both be like, whoa, look at this. And it would be a huge deal in the house. And everyone would get excited. And it would be probably a moment we don't forget for a really long time.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that, man. That's super helpful. And I think it's just another way to get more involved with the community and just separate yourselves from other competitors in the area, honestly. Because again, that's another thing. We talked about the claims thing earlier on. That's another thing that just makes you different.
All it is another touch point that makes you different. And just to wrap this up, shout out to my man, JP, for showing me this. Jeremy Powers is the one who brought this to my attention. We've taken the ball and run with it. We use it much different than I'm sure his agency does, vice versa. But just start with something. Even if you don't want to use send out cards, get a nice agency card template sent out and do a handwritten card to every client or whatever, or every other, whatever your team can do. If you start with something, but there's so much that you can do with this. 2 things that I'm just thinking of: we print out ID cards physically and put them into an ID card holder that has our agency on it, and then we have a pamphlet that says what the ID cards can do, and we mail that out. That sparks another thing of little difference. I've had 2 people post that on social media. 2 people have posted their ID cards on social media. And then the other thing that we have is for first-time home buyers, there's a water tag that's made out that has our agency branding on it and on the back, and on the front says, "This is the water shut off." And then we hey, congrats about your new home. This is a water tag that you should find the water shut off in your home. If there's ever an emergency, tie it around there. Again, no one's going to be walking around their basement like, oh, what's that T5 thing? Let me call them for a quote. But it's an additional touch point to the client, an additional thing that hey, we're here more than just your monthly bill. That's the key. Surprise and delight factor, creating that emotion, sparking that emotion through what you're doing.
Couldn't agree with you more. You're building a relationship.
I'll keep going. You could talk all day about this stuff.
No, you're building the relationship.
That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. Anybody who's listening to this, reach out to myself if you have any questions. I'm not an expert in it at all. I just enjoy the gifting and enjoy that side of the business of creating that emotion for our clients, because they're the ones that are helping us grow our businesses, right? Those are the people. Those are people making it happen. So, all right, we'll wrap this puppy up, everybody. Thanks. That's another episode of the Scratch Agency Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show, share the show, and subscribe. Most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and own your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.